Give me a thumbs up. We're live?
Yes.
Okay. It's a great opportunity to spend time, training our both the other units that came to join us here and with our local folks here as well. When we deploy in unusual circumstances, and especially overseas, a lot of our folks are faced with really horrific experiences and mass casualty exercises, and the opportunity to step in as a trainer and really give them some insight, and experience, to me, has been very rewarding, and especially since we have people that are truly invested in making a difference.
Can we do that one more time? And I'm just going to have you talk towards me. We're
okay.
Going to pretend like that's not here.
All right. Ready?
Yes.
All right. So it's a great opportunity actually to spend time with both the 944th, the folks out of Tucson, and my people here that really want to be prepared to go overseas and make a difference for our military members. The neat thing about being in the Guard is that they can actually function and make a difference in really traumatic injuries and other stuff that may happen even in the civilian sector. So for them to come up here and be invested and want to make a difference, it's great for me, as a trainer, to be able to spend time with them and show them really how to triage people quickly, how to do life-threatening interventions, and hopefully make a difference.
Sounds great. Has any experience in your life been significant enough to where you were able to relate that to this training, and then help those airmen that you were teaching to understand, or help them for their future maybe experiences?
We'll let this one go by here. Well, for me, it's a little bit unique because I was at Kobar Towers and had two medics with me. After we left and they bombed Iran, one of those medics received a Purple Heart. And we were really invested in making sure we had a disaster plan. And so back from the mid-90s to bring that forward today probably gives me some unique perspective. Also, as an emergency medicine physician in a trauma center, I deal with large influxes of casualties off of I-10 and the local surrounding areas. So for me, it kind of transitions both from the medical side and also for the military side, that there's opportunities for them to really say, hey, this can happen, this has happened, and be prepared for that in the future.
Perfect. What's one thing that you would say is the most important aspect of today? It doesn't have to be a certain topic. It could just be like the biggest takeaway that you want these airmen to have, or...
I think the biggest takeaway for the airmen is to recognize that you can be called on to make a difference anytime, whether it be when you're deployed, locally on the base, or out in the civilian community. And the key is there are certain skill sets that you can have, such as putting on a tourniquet and being prepared to do that, and knowing how to rapidly assess somebody where you may save their life. And just a simple thing. And to me, that's the biggest takeaway, is that every person can make a difference.
I like it. Should we try and redo that one in a single...
If you can. Yeah,
oh, you guys are killing me.
I'm sorry, sir.
Killing me.
It was the aircraft.
All right, so the one single big thing I want them to take away today is that they can be the person that makes a difference. Whether it be in a deployed location, whether it be here on base or in the civilian community, knowing how to put a tourniquet on, knowing how to open somebody's airway, really to help facilitate good and quick, efficient care. That's a difference maker. And that's my takeaway from them, is you can make a difference at home, here in the Guard, at the state level, or when you're deployed with your troops.
That's perfect. That was great. Duty title here?
Yes, my name's James Taylor, Major, Medical Readiness Officer here at the 161st Medical Group.
Okay, and can you spell it just for...
Yes, James, James, Taylor, Taylor.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So can you explain what this event is about and what you're accomplishing with this?
Yes, absolutely. So this is a training event in preparation for a triennial National Disaster Medical System exercise. We had an actual exercise 2 years ago that we participated here at the 161st alongside with first responders and the Veterans Administration medical system. During that exercise, in the after-action report, we identified some areas of opportunity where our folks could do better and add more value. And so prior to the next actual exercise, we wanted to do some breakout training sessions One, familiarizing ourselves with the VA equipment. We learned that the litters that they use were different than the litters that we're used to. We noticed that there was some airframe familiarization stuff that would help us do our jobs better, more efficiently, as well as the dual-use vehicles, which you see behind me here, that the VA employs as large ambulances. We really just wanted to work better alongside those folks, so when an actual disaster happens or for the next exercise, our folks are ready to step in and add value immediately to the exercise.
Awesome. That's a very good response. Can you tell us about some of the units that are out here, and then what the advantage of bringing multiple units together is?
Absolutely. This is a multi-agency effort, as will the actual scenario exercise next year. Today we've got 944th medical personnel, Air Force Reserve personnel. We've got Army, National Guard, aviation resources, as well as medical resources here. We've got 162nd National Guard, Air National Guard, medical folks from Tucson up for the event. We also have the Veterans Administration staff here helping with some of the training. We've got our aviation resources out on the flight line with some KC-135 familiarization, and then the 161st medical group here as well.
Awesome. Now can you kind of talk about some of the actual hands-on training that these airmen are going to be going through?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned with the dual-use vehicles here, these are large patient movement vehicles. They can seat up to 25 patients, less if they're on litters, but we wanted to get them familiar with that. We wanted them to experience actually lifting a real patient up and putting them on the highest stanchions in the vehicle, because it's not as easy as you would think. So we wanted them to get used to that. We have some vehicles with the ramps down, some with the ramps up, so depending on how it's configured when they pull up and what type of patients we have, we're familiar getting patients on both ways. We also have a mannequin or a simulator that the 944th brought out. It breathes, it bleeds, it blinks, it adjusts to light. There are many different really cool scenarios that you can use the simulator for. One of the new training requirements that came out for all our medics was that they needed 12 hours of simulation training a year, and so we wanted to make sure that we gave that to them as well. So we have that as one of the trainings. We have a UH-60 Blackhawk that the State Aviation Office has allowed to come, and we're practicing loading, unloading, familiarization, letting our folks see kind of the space on the Blackhawk. We're actually going to be doing some hot loading for the last 30 minutes of the day, so they actually can experience the realness, the noise, the wind, and just some of the challenges and how they're going to communicate during that loading and unloading of the Blackhawk. We also have a triage aspect to the training, so we're training our folks on the triage tags, on the 4 different categories that patients would be triaged in, because in the actual exercise and in a disaster situation, some of those patients may not make it, right? Some may be more critical than others, and we need our people to quickly identify that, categorize those patients, so we give the most critical patients the care that they need to survive.
Is there anything else you can think of?
Sergeant Dylan Vogel, D-Y-L-A-N V-O-G-E-L.
And what's your duty title here?
4-0 medical technician, aerospace medical technician.
Awesome. All right, so going through today's training, what were some of the key takeaways for you?
For me, the key takeaways were throughout the year we practiced litter carries a lot, but then seeing the big picture, whether it's loading it into the helicopter or the KC, seeing how the reasons why we do certain things as far as head first, feet first, and how that all ties in, and then also being able to work with different units. If you're in a deployed setting, you don't know the people that you always work with, so of course, right? Is that loud enough too?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good.
This is working out. try that again.
Okay.
So what are some of the key takeaways for you today?
For me, it was the ability to take the little skills that we use throughout the year, whether it's training, PowerPoint slides, triage, and litter carries, and actually applying it to a real setting and really being able to use real patients, the volunteers today, and then being able to take that and use the helicopter or the KC to see why it is we do the little things, head first, feet first, why we do the different carries, the commands, seeing how that all ties in is what I really took away. And then also being able to use other people from different units, because when you're in a deployed setting, you're not going to know everyone you're with. So it's good to see that common language and what other people do, so you can kind of get that sense before a deployed setting.
What was your favorite part of the training today?
I like different sections. All of them were a lot of fun. I like the helicopter a lot, just because I have not had the opportunity to load onto a helicopter before. So that was a completely new experience. But I mean, everything just from even the litter carries, like seeing the different parts, the new. So my favorite part today was the helicopter. I've never had the chance to load and unload out of a helicopter and see those different situations. So that was new and a new experience for me. But even just the simple stuff with the triage behind me or the KC and the sim lab over there, just seeing the different training aspects that the providers and all the trainers brought in, I enjoyed all of it a lot.
If you had to pick one thing that you thought was the most significant portion of the training today, as it relates to your everyday duties, what would you say that is?
That's a tough question. So working here in the clinic, we don't really get to triage or do those type of things. So as it relates to my everyday duties, I would say working with all the new people. I think that was my biggest takeaway, because it's easy when you work with the same person every day and tendencies are the same, but when you get a different unit or people you've never met, being able to accomplish the same goals and save a patient's life or just accomplish the daily task, that was my biggest takeaway.
Can you think of any other topics? So, is there anything else that you might be looking forward to, maybe using this training or utilizing it somewhere, or anything else that you just want to add in general about it?
But yeah, doing this training, it actually makes me want to do more like TDYs as far as going to different areas that do more of this training and learning more, because I haven't done anything like this in a year since active duty. So being able to do something like this in preparation for next year's exercise kind of reinvigorated me to kind of want to get out there and explore more opportunities. They mentioned AE and what it offers and medics on helicopters and that sort of thing. So just looking at different avenues of ways that I could better myself as a medic. This whole scenario, this whole exercise today kind of helped me with that.